Hello and welcome to another episode of the Reign Report, a podcast by Ravens fans for Ravens fans. Here we on the Reign Report talk all things Baltimore Ravens all the time, breaking news, big trades, potential draft prospects that the team should be targeting or looking at. It's kind of breaking down all the news that comes from the team or that's reportedly that the team is up to. Just talk everything Baltimore Ravens. So it's not just for Ravens fans. If you're a casual football fan and you're looking for a favorite team, or just wanting to learn more about one of the hottest teams in the league, give us a listen. Because as gonna try to be as unbiased as possible and try to provide good quality content without trying to sound too much like a fanboy. Because I am a professional journalist and I take my job very seriously. But I did want to start this podcast just so I can give Ravens fans and other fans of like I said, if you're a fan of a particular player on the Ravens, like Lamar Jackson fans, just kind of give them, some more content, in this time of in our country and our world with this global pandemic, the coronavirus. It's nice to get a little break and have somebody talk about football, somebody who people can relate to, like myself. I'm not a big talking head on ESPN or nothing like that. Uh, but I'm just here to kind of entertain you guys and inform you guys what's going on with the Baltimore Ravens. So like we usually do here, I'm gonna go on chronological order about how what moves the teams have been making. My grandma always said, "Idle hands make the devil's work," and that's not what's been Eric DeCosta, GM of the Baltimore Ravens, has been doing. He's been very active, tinkering and making additions and retaining players on the team from last year's team that really can help fortify this roster and make it as best they can be, considering the circumstances heading into the 2020 season. On Monday, they resigned. I was so I really thought Jimmy Smith was going to sign elsewhere. I just didn't think the Ravens were going to be able to afford him. But because of this whole coronavirus thing, teams aren't able to bring in players and have them examined by their own team doctors. And given Jimmy Smith's checkered injury history, that kind of benefited the Ravens in a way. I mean, Jimmy never really wanted to leave the Ravens. He even said so in the Lounge podcast. You can go give that a listen at BaltimoreRavens.com or on their mobile app. Give them other podcast plugs because I do enjoy listening to that podcast as well. Ryan Meek and Garrett Downing, the Ravens official reporters on their team media staff, do a great job on their podcast. But yeah, just Jimmy Smith joined them and talked about how he never really wanted to join Baltimore. I mean, never wanted to leave Baltimore, and when he got on an open market, there wasn't as many offers as he thought, or really I thought that he would have. I mean, I thought there were going to be suitors banging down the door for him. It's hard to find good quality corners, and when Jimmy's healthy, he's arguably one of the best corners in the league. He's like top 10, top 15, at least, when he's healthy. But he's had stroke, he's had problems staying healthy in the past. He missed 4 games last year due to a knee sprain he suffered in week 1 against the Dolphins. So, but the Ravens were able to reach an agreement with Jimmy worth up to $6 million on a 1 year contract. So we'll have him have one of the best and deepest secondaries in the league for at least one more year. And I just thought that was a huge move. It's just because the Ravens have lost some leadership this offseason, with guys like Marshall Yanda, and but just being able to retain one of your leaders, that's huge. The guy like Jimmy's like still one of the guys from the Super Bowl team back in 2012, and he's been with the organization since he was drafted in the first round out of 2011, and he's just been a rock back there in the back end. Usually, it's in years past, it's been when Jimmy goes down, our almost our playoff hopes go down in this sense, but they've been able to fortify the roster, especially in the back end in recent years, drafting guys like Marlon Humphrey, trading for guys like Marcus Peters, both who became all pro, both who were named all pros last year. It will be the starting 2 corners, but having Jimmy kind of rotate in at that third corner, he can even play some safety. He even mentioned on the Lounge podcast that he was looking at playing a little bit of safety last year, kind of in the same role that Brandon Carr did. Brandon Carr started off as that kind of one of the main go-to slot corner after Tavon went down, but then when Marlon transitioned into the slot, once Jimmy got back, he started playing more safety and was real impactful back in the back end for us as that third safety behind Chuck Clark and Earl Thomas. And a lot of what the Ravens like to do on offense comes in sub packages, which you'll see a lot more defensive backs on the field, a lot more safeties. You'll see guys like Anthony Levine, who also got re-signed on Monday, and Chuck Clark, and they'll be using more safeties more so than the linebacker. A lot of the time when the Ravens are on the field, you only got maybe like one inside linebacker and still have their Sam and the rush backer out there. So I think just going back to the Jimmy Smith signing. I mean, the dude is like I said, is rock solid. When he's on, and when he's healthy, he's like he gets one of those movable chess pieces on defense where he can line up. He has the kind of size to kind of line up against tight ends. He even mentioned it in the on the podcast I listened to with the on the lounge. He was telling when he was telling them that he could I could see myself like matching up against bigger bodied receivers or tight ends because he's the kind of guy that can lock those guys down. And I've seen Marlon struggle at times, kind of covering those like bigger body guys. He's not the biggest guy in the world, still can challenge the contested catch and really excels at punching the ball out at its highest point when guys kind of reeling the ball. But having a guy like Jimmy, like I said, it kind of solidifies that back end, gives you some quality depth, that real good third corner. Most of the time, teams are running 3-4 receiver sets, opposing teams, and you want to have at least like your 3 or 4 best corners out there. And with Tavon coming back, Marlon, Marcus, and then now Jimmy's still coming back. I mean, the Ravens had to be the best secondary in the league. Um, Having Anthony Levine back is another great addition, not just for the defense, but for special teams. I mean, he's they don't call him co-cap for no reason. He's really the captain after Albert McCollum was released prior to last season. Like he's really kind of been the captain. I don't even think you should call him co-cap. He's like the captain of the special teams unit right now, and he's an integral part of what we do, of what the Ravens do on special teams. And he's really his contributions on defense have risen since since he came with the team as an undrafted free agent, originally with the Green Bay Packers. But he's really been like a key fixture on special teams, and he's been a nice dime linebacker at times in that nickel or dime package for the Ravens, and there's some of the sub packages. He'll be that guy kind of like spying the quarterback on obvious passing downs, or kind of covering those tight ends and some of those running backs coming out of the backfield. But like Nathan Levine, and then re-signing Chris Moore a day later on Chris Moore. Chris Moore, he hasn't panned out to be the kind of receiver that the Ravens expected him to be, or that I'm pretty sure he expected to be. He's flashed at times here and there, but like never really blossomed to that that go-to or even that developmental deep threat receiver that he was at Cincinnati when he before he got drafted in the 4th round back in 2016. But what he has blossomed into is one of the best special teams players in the league, and he's arguably, to me, it's him and Matthew Slater as far as the best gunners in the league. I mean, what his work he does with Sam Cook. I mean, like 9 times out of 10, whenever you see Sam Cook lining up for a punt, the first dude down there to down that punt inside the 10, inside the 5, inside the 20 is Chris Moore. I mean, that just goes to show you the kind of effort and hustle he puts into every play. Every play, because he knows he doesn't have a huge role offense. If he sometimes in this league, if you're not a Julio Jones or a 1st-round draft pick, you got to earn your opportunities elsewhere. Got to earn your way onto the roster elsewhere. And Chris Moore has he has a nice niche. He's built a nice niche for himself as one of the core special teams players. He's right up there with Anthony Levine as far as core guys on special teams. You can't play for the Ravens unless you play on special teams. The only guys that don't play on special teams for the Ravens are the quarterbacks. Everybody else has a role in special teams. Even the backup quarterback sometimes, if say Sam Cook got hurt, Robert Griffin probably be the holder for him. For Justin Tucker. So versatility is key. And Chris Moore, Anthony Levine, like they're kind of a bit of under the radar signings, but their impact on this roster and the special teams unit as a whole cannot go understated, because what they do for what they bring for the team, on that third facet of the game that sometimes gets overlooked, cannot go understated. These guys are staples. These guys are two of the best ones that we have on that exit in that facet of the game, and I'm glad the Ravens were able to get them back. On both of them were signed on 1-year deals. They're not going to hurt the cap or at all. They don't sign for guys like that don't sign for big money deals. So it's great to have those 2 guys back, and it's really great to have Jimmy back. I can't understate that enough. I mean, I really feel like if we would have had Jimmy for that 2014 run in the playoffs, I don't think New England would have came back from two 14-point deficits twice. They replayed that game on ESPN the other day, and I was watching it. I was like, yeah, oh man, I know how this game is going to end. Oh, if only we had Jimmy. Rashawn Melvin, his no tackling ass. I couldn't. Rashawn Melvin, Matt Elam, I'm glad those guys aren't in the roster anymore, because I mean they couldn't do the one basic thing that you're supposed to do when you play defense, is tackle. I mean, yeah, first thing you do want to cover, but what's the point of being able to cover if you can't tackle the dude you cover it? So having Jimmy back is great, and in the event that Marlon or Marcus misses any time, knock on wood, um, it's great to have a guy like that in the back end who can kind of fill in and be that. And he's usually been a number one corner and is okay with taking a reduced role to kind of extend his career. A guy who's been, like I say, he's been hurt off and on, off and on. But he even mentioned to the Ravens media that he's accepting and okay with this, like somewhat reduced role because he still knows he's going to get on the field a lot. The Ravens do like to rotate. As much as they like to rotate their defensive linemen, they like to rotate their corners even more. To kind of keep those guys fresh, keep their legs right, to kind of mix things up, disguise coverages. And when you have so many defensive backs that can do so many different things, you can really try to have opposing quarterbacks thinking they're seeing something on the field, and really it's you got a guy underneath or a guy over top, and I thought the receiver's open. Turns out he was double covered. So I think defensive coordinator Dominic Martindale is ecstatic that he got one of his key chess pieces back on that side of the ball. And moving on to some kind of off the field news, Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson came in the news that he was suing Amazon on Thursday, according to Jameson Hensley of ESPN and Charles Walker of the Baltimore Sun. The Ravens quarterback and 2019 league MVP filed a federal lawsuit against Amazon.com, claiming the online retail giant is also allowing third-party sellers. For those who aren't familiar with that kind of term, it's pretty much people who are printing their own shirts to profit from their apparel bearing his likeness and catchphrases. Jackson's complaint filed in Florida on Wednesday asked Amazon to stop selling the products without permission and provide the reigning MVP and most valuable player in the league with compensation and damages. And the items in question feature phrases such as "Lamarvelous," "Remarkable," "Action Jackson," and his famous "Not bad for a running back." Those are phrases he kind of coined and trademarked. They're all trademarked. So he filed the proper paperwork to get those things where they are at his possession. And the fact that he also said that the lawsuit alleges that Amazon is damaging Jackson's New Age apparel company. For many of you don't know, Lamar Jackson does have his own apparel company where he sells clothes and other items. Mostly clothing, but he has like those wild African dog hoodies that he had and he gave to the team last season. He has a lot of things like that on his website and for his own company, which sells products online and confusing customers who might think those items that for Amazon were approved. So that's really think it's a strong case, and I think that I never really dawned on me to think, dang, when I buy some Raven stuff off of Amazon, is it legit or is it really am I hurting the team more? I mean, I understand, they're $1 billion company, but at the end of the day, there's what I'm saying, like that's still their brand. And for other people to be profiting off of their brand is not right. And for a guy like Lamar Jackson, who's still playing on a rookie contract, it wasn't like he was the first overall pick or picked in the top 10. So he's not making the same kind of money that a guy like Baker Mayfield and Saquon Barkley is making. He was the last pick in the first round. So he's trying to kind of coop some of that money that he lost and falling that far down the draft, as well as build something for himself in that Neuro 8 apparel, which is really great company. It's some really great stuff on there. And when third party vendors, some dude in his basement steaming his catchphrase or his face likeness on a T-shirt or on a hoodie, that's just not right. I mean, like how you say you're supporting the guy when you're stealing from the guy? So I think it's a strong case, and I'm not sure if he's going to get the damages part as far as what it's cost his company. But I do definitely think that that Amazon is going to respond the right way and not allow third party vendors to sell anything that he'll have with his catchphrases or his likeness on there. So if you're out there, you listen to this podcast and you bought you don't buy no Lamar Jackson stuff from Amazon. It's not from his official company. Just go to his official website. Go to to his New Eight Apparel company website and buy from there. If you really support the guy, if you really love the dude, in the way that we all do and want to support him to be the best player and businessman and man he can be. Go out and support him officially, man. Don't get stuff through the second party vendors because you're doing more hurt than good. You're not helping him out in that fashion. So if you really want to support Lamar and all the things that he's doing and trying to do for the community of Baltimore and for all the Ravens fans everywhere, and just not just Ravens fans and you know and the community of Baltimore, even back home where he's from in Florida. You know, the guy he does a lot of philanthropic work in his community. He came up from down in there in Pompano, Florida, and all types of parts of Florida. He's a real man of the people, and you don't want to steal from man of the people because that's you're stealing from the mouth of kids when you do stuff like that. Because he does do a lot of outreach to give back to his community, and you're stealing from him and his family when you do stuff like that. So go out and support Lamar Jackson and the New Age Apparel. Go get stuff officially from him or from the NFL.com or from the NFL shop or from Fanatics. You know, any official place, but you gotta be careful when you go on Amazon because one, you might get some fake stuff. You know, like another NFL had a little commercial where they had the Russell Wilson like and it was spelled wrong, and you want to get stuff that's official because you don't want nobody wants to be called out for wearing a fake NFL jersey or something like that, or just go through the right way, go through the proper channels, and it's well worth the investment because like I said, you're supporting him and you're supporting his brand, and you're going to help him build his brand. So don't hurt the brand, go support your man. All right, moving on Friday. Like the whole reason with this COVID-19 thing is really kind of